So this is being done for two reasons today. Um, I want to talk to you about a new course that I'm running, get your feedback, get your ideas on it. It's also a new TED Talk that I'm going to be making later this year, which is about the effective use of AI. And hopefully I will get some feedback from you. You'll say it's good, it's bad, it's interesting, it's not interesting, and so on and so forth. Title of the talk today is The Generative Way, Making AI Your Muse. If you want, you can take a picture of this and you'll get a copy of the slides. If you go over to the chat, you can get a copy of the slides, and I'll give this to you later if you want. What I think is cool is there is a cheat sheet in the middle of the presentation, which you might want to take and use afterwards. So the starting point of this is a frustration. When I was young, I wanted to be an artist like Picasso. I loved to draw. And actually, I was pretty good, but I was god awful slow. And sometimes I wonder if I was born too early. Because what you have today is you could use AI as a muse to do everything faster, better, easier than you did. My, my hero, Picasso, was famous for looking for inspiration everywhere. His muses helped him a lot. He'd sit in his studio, brush in hand. Before he did a single stroke, he'd talk to one of his many muses. His muses tended to be his lovers, by the way. He'd ask, what am I not seeing? What else could this be? Is this the right place to start? Or is just the easiest? His muse didn't paint for him. She challenged him, reframed the problem, unlocked new directions. Today, we all have access to a muse. It's not a mythical muse, it's a mechanical muse. And that mechanical muse, if you know how to use it right, can be really powerful. And that muse is AI. And the good news is you don't need to haunt the streets of Paris or beg for divine inspiration. It's something anyone can have right now, easy and easy. You have a muse that never gets tired, and unlike Picasso's, won't leave you for your local art dealer. Now, a story that came up for me is I spent almost 5 years writing a book, which I thought was a fantastic book called Cycles. It was research-based, fact-based, and it brought together 22 experts. It was based on my experience teaching a little over 20,000 students. And in my humble opinion, it was a fantastic book. It was going to be the go-to book for companies that wanted to innovate faster while reducing risks. It won a few awards. We were ready for champagne and celebration. And then just after we launched, ChatGPT came on the scene. So instead of celebration, we had to think of things different. I even looked at my index later and found out that AI wasn't even in the index of the book. It felt a bit like opening the most beautiful video rental store just after Netflix launched. Now, one of the things I'd like to do is I keep on the screen here, I keep my chat open. If you have comments or questions or things like that, just throw them out because it actually makes the talk more fun for me and it makes it more interesting for you as well. Now, for me, I had a job. I needed to get humble and I need to start learning all over again. It was about going back and going to school again. And like an over-caffeinated entrepreneur, I went back to school. I took classes, I dove into research, I did everything that I could possibly think of to learn more about AI. I walked around inside a lot of companies to figure out what was working and what wasn't working, and what really happens when you drop AI into a team trying to innovate. And it's not always what you'd expect. So I decided to write up these ideas in my new book called The Generative Organization. It's an AI playbook. It's backed by facts, written by 32 experts, and it'll be ready in July 2025. Now, most innovation boils down to three moves. Picasso did them all. Doing what you do better. He mastered the classical techniques before he broke them. It's about building deep connection. He studied his subjects obsessively, and it's about inventing something new, like cubism which was a total deal breaker. AI can help you in all these areas, but it's the third one, that leap, is where the muse lives. That's where AI changes the game for you. And what I believe really strongly is the future of the world is generative. With AI, who is the expert? Kent. That's the good question. AI is very seldom the expert. AI might be a very clever intern along the way. Now, one of the things I did in the starting in my research is I ran an important study on idea generation with AI. We generated 5,402 ideas with humans and AI to solve a specific challenge. Now, the first line is AI built a lot more ideas. No surprise there. But we found out that they actually built better ideas. And to analyze the ideas that we had coming back, we created a series of experts to evaluate the ideas and then check to see if AI could evaluate. And thankfully, they could because 5,000 ideas is a lot of ideas to evaluate. And the reality is, nobody wants or needs 5,000 ideas. So, what we wanted to do is not just look at the ideas on average, but what we wanted to do is look at where did the best ideas come out. And a question for you. If you were to guess, how do you think AI and human beings scored in terms of their ability to create ideas? Would you say AI is better a little bit, worse a little bit? Where would it shine? Where wouldn't it shine? Earlier, it scored way higher. That would be one. Anybody voting for it scored way lower? Okay, let's see what comes out. So human beings on the average created 1.4 top ideas per 100. By a top idea, we're talking about ideas that were classified in the top 5%. When we threw AI into the mix, what we found is we got a better result, almost 50% higher than human beings alone. And we started using more and different AI tools. We got better and better and better in terms of our hit rate. And in fact, our top hit rate was Triz plus human beings generating 7.5 times, 7.5 ideas per 100, which scored in the top 5%, which is a lot better than the human beings were doing. Now, what I expected is I said, wow, this is fantastic. This is great. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go out to companies. We're going to use AI, and AI is going to change things around. And the reality is when we actually got into the companies, we saw something very different. There are some predictable issues with the ways we use AI. There are well-known behavioral issues that lead human beings to do the wrong things again and again. Here are 7 ways that we're using AI wrong. There's overconfidence. We trust AI too much. There's something called a present bias, which is, ooh, that's fantastic. I got something that's good. We're ready to go. There's an automation bias, which is saying, look, if AI said this, it must be right. There's cognitive offloading, which is once AI comes in the picture, we turn off our brain. There's an authority-based bias. Somebody asked before, who's the expert? For a lot of people, they think AI is the expert. There's a tendency we all have is to look for things we like, which is a confirmation bias. We actually ask AI for ideas again and again until it gives us back what we wanted in the first place. But the biggest issue, bar none, is something you would call satisficing and stopping to think. To be honest, most professionals are using AI like a fancy search engine. They write better emails, they make faster slides, and then they move on. But some people get a lot more out of AI. The people who get more from AI work with AI like Picasso might work with a muse. They don't just ask for answers. They work with AI to find the answers. Instead of seeing AI as the oracle with every answer there, they see it as a muse, somebody there to provide you inspiration and somebody to be a creative partner to help you in your thinking. Now, what I see is too many people are on the search for magic bullets. They're looking for tools after tools after tools, and the hope that these tools will make everything easier. Secret prompts. And what I believe people need is sparks, insights on how to work with AI differently. So that regardless of the tool that you're using, you work with principles. And there's a word I love in the innovation world, which is sparks, because sparks are closely tied to innovation success. And so, what I'd like to do is to use that word to show you how you can work differently with AI. Each part of this is for an idea, a way to do things. S is for speak it out, talk to your AI. P is for pivoting roles. A is asking for more. K, oh, and I got it backwards. The R should come before K. Keep going and stop and think. Oh, so you make mistakes. The reason why you want to do this is regardless of the tool you're using, you can always get better results. And by the way, when you go to download the slides, they'll be updated with Sparks written correctly and the R in the right place. Um, the starting point of using AI, I don't know how many of you do this. I actually didn't do it until just recently. I saw a video by a guy named Jeremy Utley who was talking about how fantastic it is to talk with AI. Never really thought about it. I thought it was just easier to type things in. Picasso didn't write a memo to his muse. He spoke to his muse. Why? Because it's easier to talk. And you should probably try to do the same. And the reason is simple, is we think different and usually better when we talk. Talking is not a gimmick, it's a way to get into the flow. Now, Picasso was a famous talker. The most expensive painting that he ever created was the La Femme d'Alger. He created 15 paintings in the series. His final version was sold for 132 million. What you might not know is everything started with a classic painting hanging in the Louvre called The Woman of Algiers by Francois Gilles. He'd go to the Louvre at least once a month and look at the painting. Now, if you might think about it, you might think about actually a conversation he might have about this with his muse. Picasso might say, I keep thinking about that damn Delacroix painting, Woman of Algiers, all cushions, curves, and quiet secrets. The muse might say, you mean the one with the velvet shadows and those dreamy, lounging bodies? Yeah, that one. They're too perfect, too finished. Like a stage play, everyone's in place, everyone behaving. The muse might say, so you want them to misbehave? Of course I want them to misbehave. I want them alive. I want to break the curtain. No more idealized harem fantasies. What happens after the smoke when they stand, laugh, scream, collapse? Well, they might lose their symmetry. They might lose their elegance. What you can do is take that conversation and give it to the AI. What I do right now is sometimes when I'm working with a client, I'll just record something in the car after the meeting and just ask the AI to summarize everything. I might talk for 4 to 5 minutes. And AI is great at interpreting what you have to say and finding meaning. Sometimes it's spot on, sometimes not. In this case, I asked, based on the talk which we had before, give me a prompt I could use to make a first new painting. This led to a prompt. It was used to create a new painting. It says, create a painting that begins with a classical scene of stillness and beauty, a room of reclining figures, richly adorned like in Delacroix's Woman of Algiers. Now destroy it. Fragment the bodies. Make it different. Make it this. And I have a test for you. If you're an art historian, you'll know the answer. One of these is the first in Picasso's series, The Women of Algiers, and one is done by AI. Is it A or is it B? Kent, I see you smiling. That's good. Put in a vote. Everybody put in a vote. A, A, B. Whoa, you guys are good. No, no, we're getting it back. A is AI, B is Picasso. No, you were looking really good when it started. Actually, The Picasso one is A, and the AI one is B. I think the one that's B is pretty damn good, but I'm probably not going to get 132 million for it. The message here is to talk and let AI figure out what you're saying. One founder I worked with put together a whole um, pitch using only voice. She said, when I speak, I find the heart of the story faster. She used AI as a sounding board, refining the pitch of her browns just by talking. And because she was talking, the pitch sounded like her. You might not know it, but there's even a tool out there called the Whisper Ring. It's a voice activated AI device. You whisper into it. You can talk while you're walking, while you're cooking, while you're thinking, all the things that you want to do. That's the start. Next in our line is about pivoting roles. Picasso didn't always paint the same way. Sometimes he did a cubist painting, sometimes classical, sometimes childlike, and sometimes he didn't even know. A good starting point was often a talk before he started. His favorite way to get started was to have his muse ask him questions. You can do the same with AI. It can be as simple as telling AI what you're working on and asking AI to give you some suggestions. Now, what I find is interesting is the following prompt, which I think is truly fabulous. It it gives you a way of thinking about how to use AI to its full extent. You might try the following thing. I'd like your help in figuring out how AI can best support my project. Ask me questions one at a time. Ask me about my goals, my current process, constraints until you have enough to make a fact-based recommendation to me. Give me a few obvious and a few less obvious ideas that I can use to go forward. What I've put here is a talk that Picasso might have had. And just imagine the talk that he's going through. AI asks a question, he gives a reply, then there's follow-up. Then you use AI to summarize and move forward. So what are you trying to accomplish with this series of paintings? Tribute, rebellion, reinvention, or something else? Picasso might say, I want to do a tribute. Why are you paying tribute? Well, I want to honor the feeling that's there so I can distill the essence of what we're talking about. And how do you distill the essence? And he says, I want to tear things apart to see things from a different way. I could say, based on those questions, give me a new prompt again to write a different way of making it. Now, this one was a bit of a fail, to be honest with you. I expected to see something quite different. We had our input on the left-hand side and our output on the other side. Not much different, to be honest with you. But they show something that you can do, which is really powerful. Before letting AI get started, let it ask you a few questions. Equally important as changing the roles is realizing that AI can do more than you think of. Picasso had an amazing work ethic. He kept trying and improving all the time. But I don't think he ever asked his muse to do his work for him. But you have a muse, you can ask for more. And each time you ask, it will give you another idea. The value of generative AI, it's not like a human being. If I keep asking you the same question, you're going to keep on giving me the same answer. The generative AI will make up a new response each time you go through it. What you might say is you look at the painting which is on the left, which is his 15th and final try in the series. That's the one that sold for 132 million. You could ask an AI, could give me 3 more versions or 10 more versions or 40 more versions. And using a prompt, something like create 3 more versions of this painting. One using primitivism, one like Matisse, and my favorite, one as a bug might see it with kaleidoscope eyes. You can keep on doing this again and again and again, getting better answers. The reality is we often accept the first answer AI gives us. The most valuable thing you can do is ask it to continue and give it some more. If you want better ideas, you should almost never accept the first answer. A retail innovation team we worked with asked, design me a new loyalty program. AI gave them all the obvious stuff, points, rewards, all those kind of things. Then they asked, give us 10 more ideas. And then give us 10 more ideas based on regret and not reward. That unlocked something new, a campaign where customers saw what they were missing, not by what they would get as a reward. The magic wasn't in the model, it was in the insistence of give me more, give me stranger, give me better. When Picasso painted, he didn't ask, what should I paint? He looked at the question from different ways. He asked, how could I show this from another angle? He was constantly reframing his objective and what he wanted to do, asking new questions. You can and should use AI to reframe your problem. In the same study we talked about earlier with the 5,000 ideas, we analyzed what is the strongest predictor on the number and quality of ideas. And the strongest predictor was the number of ways that you ask your question. Because what happens is when you have the same question and you keep on searching for ideas, you run out of ideas. Even AI gets tired, just like a human being. And then when you change your question slightly, you get more and more top ideas. When we worked with a hospital, they asked questions about how do you speed up discharge? We reframed it and asked how might we question? How might that make home safe stay safer, faster, more joyful? And this how might we process flips the canvas. The results they came up with was ideas that reduced the cost of homestay by 22%. Each time you ask AI to look from a new perspective, you get new ideas. When you change your questions, you'll change your answers. Now we're almost at the end. We're almost at the end of our SPARKS analogy, but there's some gems along the way. The reality is great ideas don't land in one shot. The reason Picasso made 15 paintings in his series is he knew that you needed to keep on trying, keep on doing things to get better and better. Too often we give up, excited by the first result. In social science, that's what Herbert Simon talks about satisficing. It's good enough. And a lot of what we do with AI is good enough. There's a definition of creativity I love that comes from a Jeremy Utley's book called Idea Flow. By the way, if any of you want to see a great video on creating ideas with AI, you should check him out. He comes up with a definition from a 7-year-old child who said creativity is doing more than the first thing you thought of. You can use a muse, an AI, to help you think of things that you never thought of. That's a technique called self-refinement. You keep asking, what did I miss? What are we missing? How can I see this different? You can prompt AI to ask it questions. Ask itself, how would you improve? Picasso might ask a question. Please evaluate this painting. Give me 3 ideas for better versions that better express something specific. For example, woman's beauty and a painter's viewer's longing for these women. Give detailed comments and provide ideas one by one. Here's an idea that came out. It's called the Mosaic of Desire, a romantic cubism approach. Keep the cubist approach, but soften the palette. Introduce more visual metaphors for learning. What you'll see is the tiny little hearts in there, which I think is a little bit cheesy. But we can say that this is something different than we had before. The reality is with AI, everybody's pretty good, but exceptional takes a lot of work. Yours and the machines. You need volume, you need variation. You need to wade through lots of terrible ideas to get through good ideas. In my work with great companies, they're always looking to go one step further. Working with Moderna and talking to their internal teams, they talked about how they were developing mRNA. With each round, they had better results, better breakthroughs, but kept on questioning how they're doing things. We had a team that used this process to rewrite their entire product strategy. They used AI to create, critique, rewrite, create, critique, and rewrite. You keep on going because good enough is not enough. Picasso stepped back. He looked, reflected, painted again. You should too. You need to put in what we'll call strategic pauses. After 10 prompts, don't move on. Ask, what did I learn? What changed and how I see the problem? What should I do next? That pause, that moment of insight is where the value happens. If you're looking for facts on the value of strategic pauses, there's a study by The Economist where they studied 312 companies, which are categorized in two ways. One was go, 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 and another group was categorized by strategic pauses. Companies with strategic pauses sold 40% more and earned 52% higher profits. Can you think of a stronger reason to stop and think? One of my favorite clients asks at the end of every session he uses with AI, give me the worst idea that you came up with. Tell me why this is bad. That also often gives a reflection of doing something better. Now, what I'd like to do is I like to end with something I think is quite fun. This is an example which proves to me that AI can work. So when people ask me, but really, can anyone do this? I don't show them a research paper. I talk to them about my mom. My mom is 82 years young. I can't say she's old because if she ever sees this video and I say she's old, she'd hit me over the head. She's young, full of spirit. She just got back from a trip to Europe to visit me. They were jet lagged, cranky, and hungry. My mom called and asked me, Bryan, we just got home. We're starving, too tired to go out, no food. Hey, can your AI thingy help me out? Expecting, of course, that I'd say, no, there's no way that AI can help you feed you. And I asked mom, what's in the fridge? She said, I don't know. Maybe a zucchini, some funny tomatoes, a lemon or two. I said, what I'd like you to do is I'd like you to take a picture. Send me that picture. And then I asked AI, what could you make with the things that are in her fridge? And she paused when I sent it back. She said, God, Bryan, I never would have thought of that. I never would have imagined it. The AI came back with roasted tomato zucchini pasta with lemon garlic olive oil. 15 minutes later, she was plating the dish like a Food Network star. My dad was happy. And that night, something changed. For them, AI wasn't a gadget. AI wasn't a partner. It was a spark. It didn't cook for them, but it helped them identify things. The question you might ask, would Picasso have used AI? I can't imagine him not using AI. He would have asked it to challenge him, to confuse himself, to surprise him. And when it gave him a weird answer, he'd ask for 10 more. You don't need to be a genius, but you can use AI to be your muse. You don't need to code, you just need to work with AI. Be curious, ask better questions, keep thinking. With AI, everyone has a muse. Will you use your muse? The last thought I have is about how do you put this in your company? If you want AI to do something good, you need to shift your mindset from simply using AI to actively working with it. This involves a new type of partnership and working with few key principles. The first is to make AI a part of your team. When AI is part of your team, you don't fire AI just because it gives you a bad idea. What you do is you come back and you say, look, here's ways we can get better. It's about being patient. AI will try anything and it will fail sometimes. It's tempting because it's a tool just to write it off. But like a human colleague, give it feedback. It has a learning curve. You need to be a bit patient. And lastly is give it feedback and learn from each other. I'm sure that if you do these things, you'll get a lot more. If we come back to where we were at the beginning with all of those behavioral biases, what you'll see is the sparks provide a solution to almost everything we're doing wrong. It doesn't mean we'll do everything right. It's sort of like whack-a-mole. You fix one problem, another problem comes up someplace else. Now I'm going to give you a challenge. If you want, do a screenshot of this, put it up on your board, try it out. The process is simple, even though it's misspelled in terms of the order. Uh, this is how you can get more from AI, and that's how you can become a generative organization. Now, what I'd like to do is I'd like to link this to a course that I'm running right now. Sparks is just one itsy bitsy teeny weeny part of what I teach when I teach AI. It can teach you how to use AI more effectively, but there's a lot more you can learn. What we've done is we put together a program, which is a hands-on program. We bring together tools, GPTs, and give you tools you can use after the program. The key message of the program is AI can be fantastic, but bad AI wastes a lot of time. To work effectively, you need domain expertise. You need to know what you're doing. You need to need method expertise. It could be innovation, jobs to be done, sales expertise, AI expertise, and you need to keep humans in the loop with their brain on. When you get all of those together, you get magical results. The course we've put together is a three-part course. We do some pre-work, assessment of where things are in a company, and identifying what are the challenges people have. We do a one-day program where we work on real challenges and then a follow-up Shark Tank. When you, the reality is when you tell people something, they forget. Chances are you're going to forget at least 50% of what I said by tomorrow. When we run programs based on interaction and learning by doing, you learn better and more effectively. Um, it ends with a Shark Tank reinforcing everything. And Kent, you asked, have you tried any to make AIs? Yes, I have, and it's amazing the stuff that it does. Just absolutely fantastic. Um, the the thing that we've done, which is actually very positive in terms of the toolkit, which I'm going to show you in just a second, is we've created domain expertise. And then if you put agent expertise on top of it, it does amazing stuff. So you have those 5,000 ideas. And the reality is your goal is not to pick the best idea out of the 5,000. Your goal is to combine and merge a few of those things. Um, so the pre and the post of this is pretty easy to understand. Before the event, we figure out what you want to do. After the event, we come back and say, what did you do with what you learned? There's four modules in the middle. One which is about defining a specific objective and how to use AI to do it, and how do you build a GPT to do something. Module two is about building ideas with AI, and we show you how you can build 1,000 ideas in a half hour. Module three is about how do you evaluate those ideas, and module four is about pitching for success. Now, one thing I know is there's not a lack of AI tools. We're drowning in them. What's missing is structure, strategy, purpose, and methods. That's the reason why we built the program. And the day people become AI capable, able to use AI to build real solutions, they build a real custom GPT based on a specific challenge, and they use it to solve something that matters to their company. It works because we deliver what most programs miss, which is practical tools, guided learning, and outcomes that stick. It's not just learning AI, it's putting AI to work. The magic is you do something, and when you apply something, you learn better. And we go from strategy back to business application all in a day. And it's not theory driven, but action driven and real results and real ROI. What are the background? We train 35,000 people right now. The types of feedback we're getting is it works, it's fast, it's shit, I never thought I'd have to think this hard, but this is how I should be doing. We've worked with leading companies all over the world. And one of the things that we have done is we've made this pretty value driven, putting in custom GPTs, books, certifications, self-study programs. And the thing that people are really interested in typically is the toolkit. And the toolkit we have is 320 AI tools, 28 GPTs, and Miro templates that take you step by step through the process, and it's all documented. Now, you can say, that's cool, but show me the stuff. Show me, don't tell me. So I'm going to give you an example. Is we have in our toolkit a place where you go in, you select an idea building method, you tell us a little bit about your target, and you press go. And what will pop out here on the other side is idea after idea after idea after idea. Typically, it's somewhere between 7,000 and 1,200 ideas in a half hour. If you join the course, you get free access. We run the course three different ways. We have a company program, we have an open program, we have one for consultants. I'll let that up to you. But most importantly, what we do in this program is we teach you a mindset, which is moving from AI as an oracle to AI as a partner. We give you tools and methods so you're going to put things in practice, but you can put them in practice after you're done. And we work on real challenges. Now, as far as next steps, I'm going to ask you if you're willing to give some feedback, and I have to put this in the chat somehow. If you give me your feedback, I'll give you a copy of our book Cycles, a link to the AI toolkits, the slides from the talk, and when available, a video of the talk. If you'd like, you can arrange a talk, and I will put the link here. Now, if my presentation was well done, I have a specific thing that should have happened. And that specific thing that should have happened is when you're asking, somebody asks you if you're using AI, you should actually, instead of saying, I'm using AI, you say, no, actually, I work with AI. Now, I'm going to suggest you print that thing out, but I'm going to end with a really cool challenge. Okay. So I put in the link. If you fill this in, it takes you 4 minutes. It's a real 4 minutes. The link is in the chat. You get 4 gifts on the other side. And I'd like to end with a challenge. If you send me a note with something new you've done with AI, I will give somebody an entry into our course free of charge or do a 1-hour talk at your company. And you can go from there. So now I've chatted for a while. We've been pretty much monologue, me talking to you. I'd love to change this around and go the other direction and open it up for questions. First of all, did it make any sense? Kent, I saw you smiling a few times. So you were one of my friendly faces that were up on the top of my screen. So that was a good thing. And I know how hard it is to ask a first question. So what I'd like to do is suggest we start with a second question. Does anybody have a second question? I see DNL, you're talking, but you're on mute right now. I don't know if you're trying to talk. Come on, somebody's got a question. Do you believe any of this stuff? Does anybody want to ask a question? Thank you. I do, Ulrich. Christian, do you want to ask a question? I'm failing here because nobody's asking a question. It's okay.
Yes, I have one.
Okay, Phil.
I have one, if you don't mind. I was wondering how you prevent during your interrogation of AI, how do you prevent to be and generic responses? It learns from what you're thinking, what you're looking at. How do you prevent the AI to give the same sort of answers? How do you challenge it? I think I've perceived how you do that in the Spark series, but I wanted to have your feedback about that. How do you prevent AI to reflect as you expected it to reflect?
So basically, the question is, how do you get AI to come to you with a clean mind and not just be a people pleasing and doing the things you want?
Yes.
On one side, I actually like it to be people pleasing. I like it to look at work I've done in the past and to build on that. So I leave the memory on when I'm using ChatGPT because it keeps track of it. But what you can do is you can actually create a prompt and say, please forget everything we've talked about before. Answer with a fresh brain and give me answers to this question. So you
As simple as that, and it does it.
And it will do it.
Okay.
Or, if you want, you can actually log in with somebody else's account and see how the answers come out different. But it is fairly easy.
And there's a change of posture when you're asking the question. Does it provide the same kind of results? Just changing posture? Now try to answer this question, but assuming I'm not a consultant, but I'm an executive or an operational staff or whatever?
So one of the easiest ways to get AI to give you different answers is to use a formula which we'll call CAR. A CAR is context, action, result is the way you write your prompt. And you said, look, I want you to think like a CFO. I'm a little bit prejudiced. I don't think CFOs think that often, but imagine there's a thinking CFO, and then I have an action, and then I have a result. You can ask that same question thinking about being a professional tennis player, and AI will give you completely different answers. So the idea is give it a context and it'll put yourself in the right direction. And Phil, I hope you're not a CFO because if you are, I've just made a horrible remark. By the way, I've been finance.
I have been, but I'm not anymore. So I can imagine the bias a CFO can have.
So I am a reformed finance MBA who went into marketing and strategy. Um, so I actually have been a CFO myself as well. So I'm not hope I haven't offended anybody. Anybody else have a question?
Hello, I can ask a question now.
Hey, Christian,
Can you
it's
hear me good? Hi, how are you doing?
good, good. Thank you.
Nice to see you.
That's good to see you again.
I'm still sometimes, or actually very often, reaching or the point where the AI is hallucinating or is not answering any more my questions. And the only thing I could figure out yet is to restart the whole chat. So start again with the question and maybe here and there tweak a little bit my prompt. How do you tackle this sort of behavior from the AIs?
So are you using ChatGPT or Gemini or something else?
Oh, I'm testing very broad, so it happens with almost all AIs, and ChatGPT does the best when I talk to it.
Mhm. So the biggest issue right now
But okay, I
is
don't want to go into deep.
so
Most of them, they hallucinate and they are making trouble.
okay. So hallucination you can change. You can actually get literal replies or very factual replies. There's something called a temperature setting when you write a prompt. It gets a bit technical, but you could set the temperature high or temperature low. I don't remember if low means creative and high means non-creative. I don't remember which way it goes, but that's something quite easy to do. But there has been a general trend right now in AI models to generate a certain level of customer satisfaction where the AI tries to reflect back things that you want to hear. And that actually is built into the systems right now, unless you force it to do otherwise. And now part of that is because you're happier when it answers you like you want it. And these companies do need to make money with it. So the answer is, is there an easy way around it? Probably not. I think the best way is start again or start with a different perspective. But actually, if I was going to do it, Christian, is I would probably say, look, you know what? You've been giving me the same answer for the last 5 minutes. Can you please tell me how I can ask my question differently so that you will give me a different answer? So in fact, you ask AI to solve the problem for you. And it doesn't work for you, Christian. I see you're shaking.
No, doesn't work. No, it's just it comes like it's the end for this session, and you can ask and tweak and try to figure something out new, but it will just
Okay.
not really collaborate anymore.
So you should write an
What
article.
I'm working on right now is trying to train my own AI locally.
Hmm.
And then indeed, I built in all these things, what to do and what not to do and how to behave in general. And then I'm also out of this influence fair of GPT, where ChatGPT, for example, or any other general AIs, where I don't know what's happening when they are updating or here and there tweaking things.
So a challenge you're going to have there, Chris,
So
is when you build your own models, you're actually going to take diversity out of it. As because what you choose to fill up your model with is what you believe is important. And actually, what you need to do is have things that you don't believe is important to keep the diversity there. So I would be careful about closing the doors off to the world, because when you close off the doors to the world, you might just get a little very insular set of reactions. But I think it's a good question. And happy to hear how you're fixing it. I'd like to propose
for,
one. Go ahead, Christian.
for me, it's also important the question, what for do I use it? And here I know from you, you use it for generating ideas.
Mhm.
And the most LLMs out there right now, they are for trained for this.
Mhm.
So this is the right way of using it. And when I look then at the LLMs I would like to use, then often it's like a very specific task. And therefore, it's important to make the world smaller for the LLM and
No, I think
maybe even choose a specialized LLM for it.
so. The biggest
That was
suggestion.
my last sentence about all this.
So
Thank
my
you.
biggest suggestion for you, Christian, if you want to change the results you're getting, is stop asking prompts one off, but ask prompts which do a series of things at the same point in time. So in fact, you don't say, give me an idea, but you say, give me a few ideas. But before you give it back to me, evaluate those ideas from the following perspectives. And based on those perspectives and the evaluations, create 10 more ideas before I see it. And you actually get the AI to think before you see things. So I've got time for one last question. I see Sparsh, which is there. I see you there. Your camera's on. How you doing, Sparsh? I met Sparsh in Bangalore. How you doing, my friend?
I'm
Um,
doing great. How are you, Brian?
good. Sparsh, do you have a question? Can you? This is not a planted question, by the way, because I didn't know you'd be here today. But do you have a question
Yeah.
or a remark?
Mm, not quite because I was looking for it. Like I'm attending for the first time, so I don't have much questions.
Okay, cool. So my challenge for you guys is I am willing to bet is if you try to use AI differently, you will get better results. Kent, I saw you came off the silent. Do you want to be the last one?
Well, I can just share something that was quite interesting. I used ChatGPT for this one, um, and I don't know if there's any Americans on the on the channel here, but anyway, what I did was I made a assistant that answers like Donald Trump,
Does he answer?
and yes. And the interesting part about that is when we look at how ChatGPT works with data and so on, the more data it has on a certain person, the more clever the answer will be, of course.
Mhm.
And Donald Trump is very exposed on media. So it's very, very clever and it answers very, very precise. So sometimes I got goosebumps when I ask it questions because it actually comes with a whole strategy plan and everything like that also, which is quite interesting.
So,
And this was just an agent, or not an agent, it was actually an assistant. I just made an assistant of it.
so, okay. So I'm American. I'll come clean for just a second. I just can't imagine Donald Trump having very many good ideas, but I can imagine an agent which says, please do exactly the opposite of Donald Trump would propose. And I would put a lot of trust and hope in that AI agent. But I do think what's very interesting is taking different perspectives like you're doing. One of my favorite ones when I get stuck in a problem is I'll say, look, give me 10 creative innovators and solve this problem from each of their perspectives. And each of those perspectives will give me a different viewpoint on what I'm looking at. Anyways, this was it. I thank you all. If any of you are willing to take the time to fill in the feedback form, I'd really appreciate it. It's not hard. It really is 4 minutes and four cool things that you get on the other side. The link is there. Thank you everybody for joining today, and I enjoyed having you. Thank you.